the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show. So, as we were saying earlier, on Saturday, next Saturday, the 17th of September, the second Irlam Live Festival of the year will be taking place. It's called WE'RE BUZZIN, and Phats Small there are going to be headlining. So, who better to have on the Stage and Screen show than the front man of Phats Small, Mr. Ben Ofoedu. And Ben, it's an absolute treat to have you on the Stage and Screen show, my friend. And well, there you go, Turn Around, one of the biggest songs of the 90s, and incredibly, it's well, it wasn't released until 1999. It's rather strange, really.
Yeah, we were very, very lucky with that. It was off the back of a movement, really, and I think that the movement peaked in 1999. And I think the movement started in 97, really, and it was the Ibiza movement, the kind of like people sort of ditching pop music and wanting something that was just a little bit cooler. I think it was like loads of indie kids had come out. The Britpop era actually really ended in like 96, and pop music kind of took over. And the Britpop kids who weren't as poppy needed something else. So they started to find themselves in Ibiza, because originally some of the Britpop and indie music was came from the rave scene. If you listen to the Happy Mondays and things like that, there was bits of rave in the Manchester Hacienda movement, that kind of went into the Manchester bands like the Happy Mondays and the Verve and stuff like that, and the Stone Roses. So they naturally started to go back into house music, and so the emergence of house music started to really grow, and people started to go back into Ibiza and stuff like that, and Daft Punk and the French house movement started building, and it was just a conglomerate, a collaboration of everything, an amalgamation. I use that word. And then so by 1999, I think it peaked, and that's when Turnaround was released, really. So it was like a 4-year build, and Turnaround just seemed to be the icing on the cake. And we were very, very lucky to have that record.
Absolutely. And do you instinctively know when writing a song, when you're putting an album together, do you know what's going to be a single, what's going to be a hit even, or what might work live?
I think sometimes you have a good idea, but you can always be wrong. You never really, that's why I suppose most people just say you never really know until you play it to a section of people. If you sit down and play an album to a large section of people, 9 times out of 10, the majority of people will pick the same tracks that they like. You very rarely will get an album where some people like this track, some people like that track, some people like this track. Usually there'll be 3 or 4 tracks that everyone kind of goes to, and then out of that you decide which one the first record is to go with. So you kind of know, I think we all kind of feel the same. I mean, you like everything you do, but sometimes it's just the magic that's created, and you don't even know how it happened. It might be by accident. You just don't know. Sometimes the groove, sometimes you didn't set out to do it. It was a mistake in the sampler, especially when you're sampling music. Sometimes, the sample triggers wrong, and everyone goes, "Oh, what's that? What's that? Oh, sounds good. Let's just do that." So it's a complete accident, and it kind of works. And that's the magic and the beauty of making music and being in the studio, is that you don't know it happens until it happens. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens.
Yeah, I think as well. I think there's always been I've always thought there's a sort of science. I can imagine if a university boffin did a study about what kind of music people like. Why do some people like Motorhead and some people like Mozart and everything in between? I've always been intrigued by that. What sort of music were you drawn to as a young person?
I was drawn to really soul music originally. So I had a lot of melody, but what was really exciting for me, because I'm quite an old boy now, but what was really exciting for me was the emergence of hip-hop when I was very young. So that's the early hip-hop, That's Rapper's Delight, you know, Run DMC, LL Cool J, you know, stuff like that, stuff in the mid to late 80s, you know. That was exciting to me, and I think that was exciting to me because of the music, it was new, but because of the energy that rappers had. And you could put so much into a song, so whereas with a song in those days, and still now, was like, you know, 2 lines and then a chorus and then a little bit of a bridge, and it, you know, you're saying kind of one thing. In a rap song, you could say so much. You could talk about what you had for breakfast, lunch, dinner, talk about a party you went to, and, you know, talk about the girl you was in love with, and still have time to say, and I'm the greatest rapper that ever lived, and then comes the chorus, you know what I mean? So the energy was the thing I was into. So that was what I kind of grew up with, but I fell into house music in the late 80s, and again, that was because it was clever what they were doing with the speeding up samples and making things sound different. So really, I grew up on soul music, but was really into the energy of hip hop.
And do you think it's easier nowadays to break into the music business, or easier or more difficult, do you think?
It's a bit of both, really. It's easier because you don't have to wait for the middleman. You can literally do something great, stick it out on the internet, and you haven't got, you know, such and such from Warner Brothers Records telling you it's good or bad. The public are deciding if it's good or bad because you're out there. So you're meeting the consumer straight away. Before, there were certain gatekeepers. So even with turnaround, we had to go through this person and that person to get out there for people to hear it and decide it was a good record. And loads of people had to do that in my day. And now you can just stick it straight on the internet and, you know, and let the stars decide what's going to go on.
Yeah.
Also, it's swamped. Absolutely swamped. So there's no control. So there are 1,000 records being put on the internet every day. Not 1,000, but tens of thousands.
Yeah.
So how do you how do I get known? How does my one stick out? So your record has to be incredible for it to stick out because there's loads of people sort of releasing stuff. So it's hard in the way that it's swamped with people, but it's easy in the way that you can put it out and you don't have to wait for no one else to do it for you.
Right. Because I was funny enough, I was talking to somebody earlier, and we were talking about their time on Top of the Pops, and that really was the main outlet for many years. So for you to to get yourself onto Top of the Pops, do you remember that time fondly, or was it just another show at the time?
Yeah, it wasn't just another show. It's an iconic show, and we were very, very lucky to see the last 2 years of it, because by the time I got on Top of the Pops, it was MTV was growing and other outlets. So it was still the glory days, and it was still the most iconic show, but there were other ways of getting your music out there. But yeah, Top of the Pops was weird. You'd get your chart position, and then you'd have to wait till the Monday for, at our time, there was a producer called Chris Cowie.
Yeah.
For him to decide, and sometimes it was Rick Blacksall, but Chris Cowie would decide on the Monday whether you would be doing Top of the Pops. And it was just the luck of the draw. So if you had a very high chart position, it was very likely that you would be doing it. But there was nothing set in stone, because he was organising the show that the people had to watch. So if you got a high chart position and you weren't number one, it's like a keyboard act, and you were a cartoon, you might think, no, that's not gonna be good visually. The record's doing well, so I'd rather choose a band that came in at number 31 because that would be better for the show. So you didn't always know whether you were going to get the show. And when you got the call to do Top of the Pops, oh mate, it was just, I was like over the moon. It was like one of the best things that happened. I've had a lot of great moments in my life, but to know that you're going to be on this iconic show that you've watched all your life and that all your idols have been on is the most amazing feeling in the world. And you know that you've arrived.
Yeah.
You really believe, I've arrived here. This is proper.
Yeah.
So there, you know, walking through, and I remember bumping into like Debbie Harry and stuff like that, and kissing her on the cheek, and
wow,
you know what I mean? I was thinking, wow, Debbie Harry just kissed me on the cheek, like this is crazy, like for no reason. She just went to me, oh, you're a handsome man, and then kissed me on the cheek, and I was thinking, shit, you're Blondie, like what the hell? What the hell is actually happening right now? You know, it was the maddest thing, and I think at the time, who else was there? I think it was a band called Reef. They had a big tune. Oh, place your hands. I can't sing now. I'm just like, I'm chilling, but you know, that kind of thing. On my soul. So there was Reef. There was Fun Loving Criminals were there. Who else was there? I think the first time I met Westlife, actually, I met Brian McFadden. Now, I mean, we're all good friends, but that's the first time, and he went, oh, Ronan, because Ronan was managing them at the beginning, and I knew Ronan, I knew the Boyzone boys very well, and Ronan said to Brian McFadden, oh, you know, go over, if you see Ben, go and say hello to him, he's a good mate of ours, and so that's how I became friendly with those guys. But yeah, and then Chris Cowley really liked us, so we were on Top of the Pops, very naughtily, 7 times for one song. It was mad. He just really, he was like a naughty schoolboy. We had the same sense of humour. So we'd always go, and he gave us our own dressing room in the end. We had our own dressing room we went to every week. It was unheard of. Not for one song, 7 times. We just kept coming back. Which we sort of, by the 7th time he called us to do it, we were just like, yeah, here we go. And so we'll see you on Top of the Box. The ending, you know, we just knew we were going on there. It was brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. It was great.
I mean, it leads us on brilliantly, actually, to this supergroup that you formed, Boys on Block. It's with Abs from Five, Shane Lynch from Boyzone, Dane Bowers from Another Level, and yourself. As supergroups go, this is a pretty good one. How did you get together?
That was just a very natural thing. We're all mates, and so we always hung out together back in the day. So it wasn't, for the industry, our peers, it's not unusual to see me and Shane together, or me and Abs together, or me and Dane together. Because at the parties and that, we just hang out with each other. Or back in the days, we would do shows, and, you know, Five would be on the bill, then Another Level, then Phats Small, and then Boyzone would be closing or something like that. And then you'd come backstage, and we'd just find each other. So it was normal for us to kind of just hang out, and then go and do our gig, and then come back, and we'd wait in the bar and hang out with each other, or then we'd go onto a club. So it was quite normal, but we hadn't seen each other for about, they moved to Dubai. They moved to Ibiza, then to Dubai. So I hadn't seen him for the best part of 6 or 7 years. I hadn't seen Az for like 10 years at one time. And I hadn't seen, and Shane I'd seen on and off, but not as much. And then we were booked for Bournemouth Pride. Like, me and Shane was DJing, and I was MCing. Dane was DJing at a party, and Abs was doing a little set on his own. And then basically I went on stage, and we were all drinking backstage and having a bit of lemonade and reminiscing about the old days. And then I went on stage and was doing my set, and I turned around and Dane was next to me, singing. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, Dane, what are you doing here? But anyway, Dane's a lot of fun, and he's singing, and he's great, and he can do harmonies, and, you know, he's great. He was singing. He wasn't trying to mess up the show. He was just there. And then about 10 minutes later, Adams pops up on the stage. And now there's 3 of us. And then Brandon Block saw the sun, and he saw that Shane was on the decks, and Shane couldn't come out to the front of the crowd because he was controlling the music. So Brandon Block, a DJ, he ran on and said to Shane, no, you go out the front, I'll take care of back here. And then that was it. And then Boys on Block was born. And it's a kind of funny thing, because we didn't think about Brandon Block being the DJ, but listen, we were Boys on Block, Brandon Block. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But it was more because the Sun newspaper said Bad Boys on the Block. And we thought about it, thought, no, we're not going to start calling Bad Boys on the Block. It's just like, it's a bit tacky. So we just changed that name to Boys on Block.
Fantastic. Well, that is, I mean, you've got to get much more of a natural coming together than that. But I noticed that all 3 of those lads, they've all been on Celebrity Big Brother, as has your Vanessa. Is it something, Big Brother's coming back next year? Do you fancy it?
You know what? It's mad. I'm surrounded by Celebrity Big Brother people, and they all run us up. So they all come second, all of them. So they argue about it sometimes in the van, who was the most popular. But, you know what? I went for an interview once, and pretty odd what they said to me. They said, Ben, you're two together. We couldn't possibly let you in the house. I don't know what else, I don't know if it's a compliment or what you said. You're two together. We couldn't possibly let you in the house.
Oh.
And, yeah, so it was odd, but it's coming back in the normal way at first, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it will go to the celebrities later on. So I don't really know. I don't really know. I mean, I wouldn't say no. I think I'll be all right. I like people. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But I think that the producers are always looking for something explosive, and I think that they think that I'd be very boring because I'd just get on with everyone. You know, because my whole thing in life is allow people to be themselves. I don't. You know, if someone is a certain way inclined, I let them do what they're doing. I don't sort of crowd their space. I think everyone is a certain sort of person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just allow people to be whoever they're going to be. And that is, I suppose, getting on with people because I accept everyone for who they are.
Yeah.
I don't really try to change them or say they can't do this or they shouldn't be doing this or you have to act a certain way around me. And if I don't like someone, which is quite rare, then I just keep my distance. So, but yeah, I would house, but whether they'll have me, I'm not sure because, like I say, I think that they think I'm a bit boring.
Well, funny you should say that. I was interviewing Sean Williamson, you know, who plays Barry on EastEnders.
Yeah.
And he went on it, and he was very much like you. He's a lovely guy, really quiet, you know, just got on with everybody. And they actually called him into the dining room and told him that he needed to start a little bit of aggro, and he was like, I can't do that. I can't. Just couldn't be bothered.
It's not it's not real. It's not real. I think in life, the older you get as well, I think you just got to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be comfortable in your own skin. So I've decided I'm not that sort of person. I'm this sort of person, and this is how I'm going to be, and that's that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think you know. I don't think I could be anything different than what I am.
No.
Yeah. And Big Brother, I know it's for TV purposes and stuff like that, but the producers and stuff, they don't have to live with the aftermath. And if you go and you make a right class of yourself, and I don't mean by just doing something, but if you go and you're horrible and this and that, you're the one who has to live with the backlash of it amongst the general public.
Yeah.
If you're just being yourself, people think you're a prat, that's one thing. But if you're not being yourself and you're told to act like a prat, you behave like a prat, that's another thing.
100%. It's been lovely speaking to you, but I think before I let you go, we better talk about this festival you're doing in Manchester next weekend, 17th of September. It's called WE'RE BUZZIN. After COVID and during COVID, you must have feared that you'd never see a large crowd ever again.
Yeah, it was incredibly strange times, COVID. It took me about 5 weeks to kind of work out what actually was going on. And it was mad. And then I was a bit upset because we had to cancel a Boys on Block tour. And then I realised it wasn't just happening to me; it was happening to the whole country because I thought someone was purposely out to get me, but it wasn't. So it was affecting the whole country. And you know, I missed people and missed shows. And I think everyone out there still is riding off the back and enjoying it and stuff like that. Although we've got quite short memories, you know, but I realised how much I'd taken it for granted, you know.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, to be back out there, to do gigs, like if I can get to the gig and do the gig, I physically will do it. Because I've had it taken away from me and I never want that to happen again.
And I've said a lot, actually, when we all were allowed back out to play, as it were. It was such an emotional thing, not just for the people who were entertaining us, but for audiences and everybody. It was like it was something that we'd missed it without realising that we could ever miss it as much as we did. It was weird.
Yes, it's very much like it's like an essential thing, it's human touch and being with each other and enjoying each other's company. And even people that say, I don't like people, realise that they love people.
Yeah.
They couldn't see them,
Yeah.
It's like, kind of like water in the tap, if it wasn't free, you'd notice it then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now you take it for granted and you can't be bothered with it, and you complain when you're a kid if your mum gives you a glass of water. You go, "Oh, Mum, can I have a Coca-Cola or something?" You know what I mean? So it's that kind of thing, and I think we took people and gatherings for granted, to the point where we kind of avoided them, and now it's just like it's the most amazing thing. Like enjoy it, and absolutely love it. So very, very happy that we're back out there.
Brilliant. Ben Ofoedu, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you, my friend. Thanks ever so much for that. I've kept you far too long. All the best, and enjoy whatever it is you do next. It all seems really exciting, man.
Thank you very, very much, and hopefully I'll be seeing you at We Are Buzzing.
We're Buzzing. It's on in the, let me just give you the date, 17th of September, at the Manchester City Airport, which is very random, but it's a big space, so hopefully they'll fill it.
So I think the tickets over there really, really well. I was told that yesterday, so I'm happy.
All right, pal, you take care of yourself.
Take care.
Thanks again. Cheers. There you go, the fantastic Ben Ofoedu from Phats Small, who will be headlining the WE'RE BUZZIN Festival over at the Manchester City Airport on next Saturday the 17th of September. And as I was saying earlier, we have a couple of tickets to give away here on the Stage and Screen Show. If you would like to try and get your hands on those tickets, all you need to do is go to our Twitter page, that's just at Calon FM, or Calon FM on Facebook. Like and share the post, or like and retweet, as the kids say, and your name will go into a hat, and we will draw it on Thursday of this week, and we will let you know. You're listening to the Stage and Screen Show with me, Andy Snowden, here on 105 Calon FM. Good afternoon to you.
It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show.